the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, or the FSSAI, has pulled up biscuit maker SAJ Food Products over what it calls potentially misleading claims on its Eat Fit Digestive Biscuits, because the regulator says the pack prominently advertises 100% Atta in quotes in bold and also no added sugar. But the ingredients, the list of them, tells a different story. According to FSSAI, the biscuits contain only about 72% Atta, while ingredients such as maltodextrin and glucose syrup solids raise questions over the no added sugar claim, and the regulator has also flagged the use of the term Eat Fit Digestive, saying such health-related claims require scientific backing under advertising regulations. And SAJ Food has now been asked to respond within 7 days, failing which action may be initiated under the Food Safety and Standards Act. But the bigger question is, viewers, are food labels becoming marketing tools rather than consumer information? Are buzzwords like quote-unquote healthy, fit and 100% misleading the shoppers? And is stricter action needed to protect consumers from deceptive packaging? We have Professor Bijon Kumar Mishra, Consumer Affair Expert, Sagar Krude, MD of Suman Food Consultants, joining us. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me and taking your time out. Professor Bijon Mishra, you know, these days Indians are eating more health claims than healthy food.
Not today. I have been involved for the last more than 45 years. We have been always being victims of unfair trade practice. You see, this is deemed and defined as unfair trade practice. You promise something which is not there, and the consumers are buying it assuming that it is there. And as you know, in 2006, we brought in a regulator called Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. We got rid of a law which was British Zamana law called the Food Adulteration Act, and brought in a new law called Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006. And it was very clear, even in the provision of that law, that you cannot do mischievous, deceptive, misleading advertisements. And the regulator was supposed to be monitoring such advertisements, not only issuing show cause notice. You see, you have to make it deterrent. You know, you have to punish these people so severely that they don't dare do these kind of advertisements in future. Now what is happening with the provision of the law, you know, they are having a smile on their face and laughing all the way through, you know, and making tons of money illegally by this unfair trade practice. And the consumers, poor chap, are getting cheated, who are not getting compensated for this kind of a unfair trade practice being adopted on them. So the issue is, the money should be drawn back from these manufacturers who have made this kind of an advertisement, and all the parties involved. Advertisers should also become party to it. You know, and not only
all those actors who are endorsing these healthy biscuits, digestive biscuits, saying zero added sugar, 100% Atta, all of them must also be pulled up, because, you know, without knowing the science behind the food, you cannot really endorse anything claiming that they are 100% safe, 100% Atta. Mr. Sagar Krude, you deal with you know, this industry very, very closely. When a company says 100% Atta, what does it mean? Is it the entire component is 100% Atta, or only the flour that is used is what they're you know, measuring?
So this is where it is ambiguous at best, or misleading probably to the consumer. So we need to wait for the reaction of the company to whom FSSAI has put. But importantly, 100% Atta can be interpreted as all Atta used in the process is 100%, but it can still be misleading to the consumer, because in the process of making any biscuits or anything, 100% of Atta is never used. There are several ingredients that are typically used in the process, whether, as you mentioned, glucose, maltodextrin, preservatives, or additional flours of other derivatives to actually make a healthy, nutritious biscuit.
Sir, and so, all these derivatives, are they basically, you know, different forms of sugar?
No, not necessarily. Yes, of course. So when somebody says 100% sugar, so that can be misleading from a perspective is it actually sugar as in crystal form, or are they using maltodextrin or glucose associated with it? If they are using maltodextrin or glucose associated with it, this is why FSSAI is coming down heavily on companies. Effective May of 2025, they issued a notice to discontinue, whether on promotions, packaging labels, or any advertisements or so forth. And whoever as a company is continuing, they are coming down heavily. There are a couple of more companies that have been fined also for the same.
Professor, what should be the way forward? Because a lot of people are falling
Deepak,
prey to such tall
yeah,
claims.
Deepak, that is what I wanted to tell you. You have come out with a good question. See, I want to interpret what is this heavily can be defined as. It should be so heavy that they cannot get up again. I want to see that these kind of unfair trade practices which are adopted by such companies, the regulator comes so heavily on them that they are not able to get up after that. These show cause notices and all are hogwash. According to me, it doesn't serve any purpose. Of course, it serves the legal purpose that you give an opportunity to the opposite party to respond. But the point which I'm making is there has to be a fast track action taken. All these foods should be withdrawn from the market. There should be some kind of a recall mechanism where, deceptively they have sold these products which should be withdrawn from the supply chain, and the consumers should be compensated. So all that money which they get, they may not be able to identify the individual consumers who have bought these biscuits, but they would be able to collect that. I don't know where that fine goes to, which kind of a budget it goes to, I don't know. But technically it should go to the Consumer Welfare Fund, which is there managed by the Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India, to be used in the interest of the consumer. So what my contention is that this definition of heavily, this definition of show cause notice, the time period given, by that time he's made crores of rupees. I mean,
And sir, health-wise also damage is already done.
Absolutely. You see, Deepak, you very correctly said, you've already done the damage. Now it's the kind of how do you protect that consumer that the further damage doesn't take place in future. We have to make, I'm telling you, I've seen the manufacturers, the advertisers, they just have a smile on their face, and then they are trying to give us a body language that what can you do? What will you do? Let's see what you can do. Because the consumers are not able to actually protect themselves. We are highly dependent on the regulator to protect us. We don't have organized voice. We don't have organized capacity. We don't have organized resources in terms of taking up such causes. In fact, the government should go before the Supreme Court and take a very strong, kind of a directive from the Supreme Court for future action, which the government is not taking. They expect the consumers to do it. Sorry, consumers don't have in India the capacity, not the resources. Because you see, the industry takes the money from us and then they show eyes on us. You see, as a consumer, I pay that money to them to protect us. They have all kinds of mechanisms to protect us, and they spend money on that. A lot of officials are working to ensure that, such unfair trade practice does not happen at the marketplace. But I
think every officer is taken care of by these companies at every single level, Professor. But Sagar sir, how do companies legally frame claims so that, they sound healthy without technically saying too much about the science about the food?
So FSSAI has been very clear that no 100% should be allowed at all. Okay, in May 2025, they have already put a notice out that this has to be discontinued. Now, there are some companies who may not be aware or for whatever reasons are still continuing, which FSSAI wants to ensure it doesn't happen. Now, the process, once FSSAI puts a notice out of changing any label, you have to understand that there is packaging to be changed, there is ensuring that anything with regard to products out there for the distribution, they have to kind of go out also or recalled in the process of the same. So therefore, it becomes very, very important that these companies adhere to the notifications issued by FSSAI. And if they are not, I support the professor in saying that FSSAI should come down heavily on it. And those companies should not be putting any 100% claim, whether it's juices, whether it is in terms of oil, or whether it is biscuits or anything else.
And Professor, consumers like you and me are, forced to become food scientists just to understand what we are eating. And even when we try to understand, there is a caveat which the company will never tell us.
No, so that is why Deepak, TV channels like yours, TV9 and all, where, you all are making your viewers aware about such, actions, such provisions of law and how they should be aware, how they should be empowered to take a decision and informed choice. And that is where I always tell the regulator that this is where you all should be seen aligning with these channels who are educating the consumers, so that there is a credibility in terms of this conversation which is going on. But in most of the time, you try it out, you call a regulator to be on the panel to talk to the viewers, they will never accept your invitation. They never come up. They never come. And that's a wrong sign, that goes to show that you are trying to be not transparent, you are scared of accountability, you don't want to face the citizens. It is high time, it is high time that they came out in public domain and started talking in such conversations in terms of how they intend to amend the law, how they intend to change the rules, how they intend to ensure that in future such manufacturers, such advertisers are not adopting such unfair trade practice by adopting these kind of deceptive advertisements or misleading advertisements. And as very correctly said by my channel colleague, my panel member, that they should try to be more aggressive. They have to be aggressive. The regulator needs to show their strength. They cannot be seen as teethless. So what we want to ensure that the regulator understands this, and that is why we had this authority in place. We got rid of the British Food Adulteration Act. We brought in a modern approach to food safety and standards. So this is where I think you all are playing a very good role by having such conversations in public domain and making people aware that what is deceptive, what is not deceptive, what the government is taking
But
action
Professor,
on.
at the end of the day, no matter how much we discuss, at whatever length we discuss, at the end of the day, action must follow. But Mr. Sagar, your closing statements, apart from strict action, what are the other protocols that must be brought in?
I think awareness is a key for consumers. Clear labeling guidelines is very important for companies. Whatever are the ingredients, obviously if a product is made of a certain product which is a major product and company is calling it 100%, it is definitely not acceptable, especially after the notification. And important is for companies to clarify also. Even Professor would be also aware, even in Consumer Protection Act, this 100% claim is also not there at all to be put. So both Fssai and the Consumer Protection Act supports the citizens of India to ensure that nothing in terms of mislabeling or misguidelines are put on any label associated with it. Only thing is, let's wait what this company in question has to revert back. They are, I think, typically 7-day process to revert back, and based upon that, Fssai would take a call and decision to take action in accordance.
Right. Mr. Sagar Kude and Professor Bijon Mishra, thank you for joining me in this very riveting conversation.